Topping today's news, a man shot and killed in a scrap metal yard off Carmichael Road today. Prime Minister Davis and the opposition leader Pintard trade jabs over campaign financing. Grand Bahama residents rally against a proposed increase in electricity rates, and the central bank working on reforms to the banking sector. Good evening, Bahamas. I'm Jarino Saunders. This is your JCN Evening News, and it is definitely a pleasure to have you join us. Police were called to the scene of the country's 84th homicide today. A male shot and killed on an unnamed road opposite Ramsey Street off of Carmichael Road in the area that appears to be a dumping site for old cars, boats, and other debris described as a scrapyard. Benway Josie, Commander in charge of the Western Division of the Royal Bahamas Police Force, provided the following details on the latest shooting.
Around 12:30 today's day, police received information of gunshots in the Carmichael Road area. A mobile unit responded. This is an area west of the Pond Wash on the northern side of Carmichael Road, a dirt road that takes you into a scrap metal yard. When the officers arrived on the scene, they met a male lying in the dirt in the scrapyard. This male was on the ground. The officers spoke to persons who appeared to have seen what has happened. It was said that a white vehicle, hatchback, came to the scrapyard, saw the male, demanded cash, and opened fire on the male. The male dropped after he was shot.
Police say emergency medical services was called to the scene and pronounced the male lifeless. They say the victim appears to be in his early 40s and may be of Haitian descent. Officers say they have some solid leads as they are early into their investigations.
What we can say at this time is that the police is actively investigating this matter. We are speaking to some persons. We are following some significant leads in this matter. This matter comes under the Western Police Station. Because of the heightened crime, the commissioner has ordered all ranks out of the station. These high-ranking officers behind me, they're not just here because of the shooting. They were on the road. They responded in minutes of the shooting. We are going to find out who did this, why it happened. We're going to bring those persons to justice.
This murder follows the shooting death of a 20-year-old male who was attending a party in Bozine Town in that community on Sunday. While appearing on Grand Bahama-based radio talk show Make It Make Sense with host Darren Cooper on Monday, Free National Movement leader Michael Pintard responded to the rumors of the Grand Bahama Port Authority donating some $5 million to the Free National Movement's 2026 general election campaign. Mr. Pintard in turn accused the government of rewarding businesses that funded the PLP's campaign with multiple contracts.
The PLP is the largest single sourcing administration under Davis in the history of the Bahamas. So they will talk about selling. They are big time sellers, because what they're doing is entering into a narrow relationship with companies, and they're doing that just for the good of the Bahamian people. They should explain to us what is motivating you circumventing consistently competitive bidding to give to A, B, C, or D. I tell donors all the time, and I will say this loud, please. I say this loud. You can make a contribution to the Free National Movement. You may well help me in Marco City. But what you are unable to do is to buy my silence or have me detach and sell to you the testicles. No, that don't change. None of them change. I don't, and we don't as an organization roll that way. So the talks that they are running up, I'm saying to them, we know how you operate, but don't presume that we are like you. We're not like them.
On Tuesday, when asked by reporters on Grand Bahama to respond to the statements made by Mr. Pintard, Prime Minister Davis responded like this.
If they gave it to him, then they gave it to him. But what was very curious to me is that once it came out, whether he would deny it or confirm it. I mean, I don't think that's a matter of being transparent. transparent. So it'll be good to know whether he did or not. We don't have any campaign financing rules in the Bahamas. People could give their contribution to whichever party they wish. That's their free will. But if it comes to the light, and the Bahamian people like to know, I think it's only right for them to deny or confirm whether they have it.
Meanwhile, Free National Movement Chairman Dr. Dwayne Sands noted that both the PLP and FNM have accepted campaign contributions from various individuals, businesses, and entities, including the Grand Bahama Port Authority. Meanwhile, the Prime Minister's visit to Grand Bahama on Tuesday for a meeting with potential buyers for the Grand Lucayan Hotel, where he said that he was on the island to fight for the people of Grand Bahama, has seemingly lit a fire under the opposition leader, who called an emergency press conference at the Free National Movement's headquarters today here in New Providence to respond to the Prime Minister's assertion. Mr. Pintard first addressed the Prime Minister on fighting for Grand Bahamians.
I raise these issues to make the point that when a Prime Minister comes to Grand Bahama claiming that he is fighting for Bahamians, he's fighting for Grand Bahamians, we say, what credibility could he have when he represents Cat Island, Rumkey, and San Salvador, where he is failing? Yes. Where he is failing with basic infrastructure. Yes. After serving that community for over 20 years, we still do not have, throughout Cat Island, potable water. So here is a Prime Minister who is busy talking about him fighting for Bahamians, as opposed to members of the Free National Movement who've been fighting all along, 3 members of Parliament in Grand Bahama who don't just fly there, we live there. And he is running on about fighting for Bahamians. Fight for better water conditions in Cat Island. Fight for a police station that can't seem to grow beyond a cubbyhole in the north of Cat Island. Fight for the people in Eleuthera who lack both water and light on a consistent basis. So the chairman, if he wished to protest, we say, yes, protest against the power company if you like, but show some credibility by also protesting against BPL.
Again, the Prime Minister also challenged Mr. Pintard to be transparent when it comes to alleged millions in campaign financing from the Grand Bahama Port Authority, asking Mr. Pintard to confirm or deny. Mr. Pintard reacted with this.
Transparency is not a word that the Prime Minister and his colleagues can use with any serious conviction or moral authority. Speaking about power, the electricity privatization that we are undergoing right now as a country screams for transparency. The public would like to know, who are you giving the generation of power to? Who is getting the contract? Have you increased, of at least one of your providers, the rental generation component of power that Bahamian people are paying for? Have you moved dramatically upwards in the amount of money that we are paying just for generation rental? Help us understand. Will the traditional assets that generate power at BPL be given to a particular group? And we say given in large measure because the Prime Minister refuses to outline the terms of any arrangement between those companies that would be involved in the generation. And so when you talk about transparency, if you're doing a good thing for people, why not tell the people the whole thing?
Mr. Pintard said the Davis administration has failed Grand Bahamians on many fronts, including small home repairs, the failed airport project, and failure to sell the Grand Lucayan Hotel. We'll have more from the Free National Movement's press conference in a later report. And finally, in this segment, several banks have either increased fees or introduced new fees over the past few months, generating anger among many citizens, including business owners, who point out that most banks have reported making large profits in recent times. The Central Bank of the Bahamas, as regulator, has also come under fire and has been accused of not doing enough to protect customers. Well, it seems like the central bank has heard the cries, and according to its semi-annual survey of retail bank fees, the central bank is taking steps to make targeted reforms on fee-setting practices by local banks, while at the same time trying to preserve the viability of the banking sector. Meanwhile, Prime Minister Philip Davis is set to meet with the banks to determine if fee increases in recent times are justifiable. The opposition has promised sweeping reforms to the banking sector should they win the government. We'll take a break here. We'll be right back after these commercials.